The Corrupted Gauntlet is maybe the most important boss in Old School. You go in a fresh-faced noob, still dreaming of your quest cape, and you come out the other side with insane gear, a fat cash stack, and some serious PvM skills. But this boss is not for the faint of heart. The fight lasts 10 minutes, a single mistake can mean instant death, and if you're unlucky, you can get stuck in this red prison for hundreds of hours. The wiki recommends a pretty high combat level to start this boss, but I unlocked Prifddinas at level 52, and I'm stuck here until I complete every challenge. So I need to get started on this grind as soon as possible if I'm ever going to leave. I haven't done the Gauntlet on any account in over a year, so to set the base mark, I went straight into the Gauntlet at 52 combat with only a faint memory of how this place works to see what I could do, which to my surprise I beat without too much challenge. But any confidence I gained from this kill was quickly removed by the Corrupted Gauntlet, where I was swiftly defeated while the Hunlif still had over 600 health. This might not have been the greatest start, but has given me some hope that with a bit of practice and some new strategies that I can scrape together a kill. The first thing I'm going to do is head back into the Gauntlet and get some practice. The rewards are still pretty good, so I can start building up a cash stack, and if I'm very lucky, get spooned one of the uniques. Time for a quick recap on the Gauntlet so everyone knows what's going on. You get thrown into a randomized maze with just a few basic tools. You have 10 minutes to explore the rooms, gather resources, and kill mini-bosses. Then, you craft some gear, cook some fish, and mix a few potions to prepare to face off against the Hunlif, who will test your abilities to do complex movements, swap prayers and gear, all while being one mistake away from disaster. Before Scurrius and the Royal Titans, the Gauntlet was the first boss that really taught you how to PvM. And on my second kill, I managed to pick up the 3-2-1 ranged combat achievement. You get this one if you don't take any damage off prayer, so I would hope to get it on basically every kill. I kept going with the practice with nothing very special from the rewards chest, and very quickly picked up the Gauntlet Veteran combat achievement. This one is just for 5 kills. Now I'm getting back into the swing of things. It's time to take small steps towards the Corrupted Gauntlet. And the first of those is to stop using tier 2 armor and start using tier 1. This does a few things. The attack and defense bonuses on the armor goes down. The Hunlif's max hit goes from an 8 to a 10, so I'm going to take more damage and deal less. Doesn't sound like a great idea right now, but the resources needed to craft the armor goes down significantly. So I'm hoping to save a lot of time in the prep phase while increasing the challenge of the boss fight. And it turns out that this still isn't enough to make the regular Gauntlet hard. And I got a new PB doing this, so I'm moving in the right direction, even if it is still embarrassingly slow. I'm still not ready to try the next challenge, so I kept going with tier 1, and on the next kill, not only did I get a new PB, but I also got the perfect Crystalline Hunlif combat achievement. You get this one for always attacking with the correct style and not taking unnecessary damage. The advice I got when I first started the Gauntlet was to stay here until I got this achievement, and then I'd be ready for the Corrupted Gauntlet. And while I think this is good advice, I don't think it applies to this account. There is still one huge issue holding me back: my stats. I have 50 attack, 35 strength, 60 range, and 63 magic. And with the wiki recommending 85 in all of these, I'm surely going to have to do some serious grinds before I can do this. Well, actually, there is one strategy that I can use where none of these matter, and it's called the 5-1 method. This method focuses on manipulating the Hunlif's protection prayers to maximize time attacking with the highest DPS weapon, in my case, the staff. The Hunlif will change its prayers after I attack it 6 times to match the style I used on the 6th attack, but I can use this to my advantage. Let's say the Hunlif is protecting from melee. I can attack it 5 times with the staff, and then for the 6th attack swap to the bow, and it will change its prayers to protect from range, allowing me to swap back to the staff for 5 attacks, and then to swap to the halberd or just kick the Hunlif for the 6th attack, and repeat until one of us has been defeated, getting me back to where I started without the Hunlif ever protecting from magic. Now, you may be wondering why this is actually better. Well, the staff has a maximum hit of 39 at any level, and magic levels only improve its accuracy. So at my current level of 63, it will do 4.3 DPS. and only increasing to 5.5 DPS at level 99. So it's currently at 77% of its max efficiency, which I think is good enough to get kills if I don't make too many mistakes. On the other hand, the halberd currently does 1.2 DPS, and the bow isn't much better at 2.4. So until I can get my other stats trained up, I think the 5-1 method will be my only option. This does add a little extra difficulty to the boss fight, as you have to constantly count your attacks, which isn't too hard, but there's already quite a lot of things to pay attention to. And I always think if you're going to do long boss grinds, it's better to use methods that require less attention, so you don't get burnt out so quickly. So I'm hoping that at some point I can move away from this method, but we'll see what kind of stats and skill I need to beat the Corrupted Gauntlet the regular way. Adding this into my Gauntlet runs wasn't too bad, and the prep became simpler, as you only need to find the Dragon Demi-boss, as the other weapons don't need to be upgraded. And even if you mess up sometimes and the boss switches to Protect from Mage, all you have to do is attack 6 times with a different attack style, exactly like you would if you were using the regular strategy, and then you can start doing 5-1 again. So as long as you don't get too distracted by the counting and stand in the lava or get hit by tornadoes, then the fight doesn't get much harder and the kills should get much quicker. I continued my practice with tier 1 and the 5-1 method for a few more kills, and I picked up a few more combat achievements along the way. Wolf Puncher is for only using one upgraded weapon, which is sort of the point of the 5-1 method anyway, and I continued until I got the last combat achievement for kill count, Gauntlet Master. And somehow I managed to complete the easy tier of combat achievements with only 2 bosses and 9 achievements. Sorry Grummel, you're going to be waiting a really long time for me to come and claim those. I'm starting to get more respectable times of under 10 minutes. And I could continue here, but I think I've learned all I can, and the uniques are just so rare, so it's time to tidy up a few loose ends before I start on the Corrupted Gauntlet. Although my attack levels aren't very important, my prayer and defense levels are, as the egg gnol potions you make inside the gauntlet work just like prayer potions, where at different prayer levels they restore different amounts of prayer. And if I can go from my current level of 43 to 44, then I can make them restore 18 points instead of 17, giving me a decent boost to the amount of prayer points I can bring into the final fight. Additionally, if I can get to level 45, then I can upgrade my mage prayer from Mystic Lore to Mystic Might, giving me an additional 5% accuracy and 1% magic damage, which would give a 3% damage increase. For today's mini Welsh lesson, Egnoil means energetic, and Hunlif translates to nightmare, and thanks to everyone who sent me help with my Welsh pronunciation. The options for training prayer inside of Prif is actually a little dire. I can kill these 2 chickens for regular bones, but with a 15-second respawn timer, there's a lot of time spent doing nothing. But it may be my best spot for training melee stats right now, as I'm too weak to fight anything else. And although training strength isn't my current focus, any extra max hits will help at the start of the prep phase, and the feathers will give me a nice little boost for the eventual fletching grind. You may be thinking, what about those 2 chickens over there? But they are inaccessible to me, so although I can kill them with ranged, I have to telegrab any of their drops, and telegrabbing bones is a very expensive way to train prayer. My next option is to kill the moss giants in the Slayer dungeon. As they now have a 50% fire weakness, they are pretty easy to kill with magic. So I cashed in some of my rewards from the gauntlet to buy some runes and got stuck into killing them. There is the added bonus that defensive casting is the same DPS as regular casting, and is my preferred way of training defense on any account, although I usually cast better spells than Firebolt. So this will also bring up my defense levels very quickly, which has the slight downside of increasing my combat level quite significantly. But let's face it, the only reason to keep my combat level as low as possible is to feed my own ego, and I'd rather start getting kills than push for the lowest level possible. And this is still a very slow method for training prayer. At 15 XP per giant, it's going to take me 354 kills to get to level 44. But as I need to get to 1 in 5,000 drops from these things, the time is not wasted. And while we're here, it's the perfect time to talk about crystal keys, because moss giants drop each half at a rate of 1 in 4,096. So with the amount of moss giants that I expect to kill, I will get a grand total of 1 crystal key. These are very important because of the Elven Crystal Chest. Opening it requires 1 crystal key and 10 crystal shards, and inside you can find the extremely rare Dragonstone Plate. 5 items, each with a drop rate of 1 in 2,500. It would be a task for me if I had a reasonable source of crystal keys, but as I don't count the rare drop table as a reasonable source of items, and I don't think anyone else does either, and getting enough keys from giants would require me to kill 10 million moss giants. So it's just not going to be possible. I do have a plan to get the complete set, but unfortunately it won't be possible while I'm still locked to Prif. And here I am finally getting 44 prayer from moss giants, which I think is where I'll stop for now, as level 45 is still quite a long way away and probably not a meaningful upgrade. The last thing I need to do before trying the corrupted gauntlet is to get my cooking up to level 48, so I no longer burn the paddlefish. And as prep time is going to be very tight for a while, burning any is going to cause me a huge problem. I actually have quite a lot of options for cooking in Prif, but I will explore the different methods when I train to 95 to make a part summer pie in a future episode. But now I'm going to take advantage of one of the side products from the woodcutting I've been doing in some AFK time and use the leaves to make forester's rations. You make forester's rations by combining any cooked fish with a leaf, and no matter the fish or leaf you get 51 XP, but you do get more rations based on the quality of the leaf and fish. But I don't really care about rations. Their main use is to work with a felling axe to gain more XP from woodcutting, but I won't get access to a felling axe until I leave Prif. They do have a second use of sometimes restoring some run energy when chopping a tree, which may be my best way of restoring run energy other than dying, and maybe I can find some uses for this in the future. And this method is super chill. I can hop worlds until I have a full inventory of fish, which doesn't take too long as this shop sells 9 fish per world, and then I can combine them with the leaves to make forester's rations, and as they both stack, I don't even need to bank. This isn't really a consistent method of training cooking, as getting leaves is pretty slow, but it's worth using any I gather along the way, and using what I had in my forester's kit got me to 44 cooking, which still gives me a 97% chance of successfully cooking a paddlefish, which is probably good enough for now. With my improved stats and some practice under my belt, it's finally time to venture into the corrupted gauntlet, see if I've done enough to get some kills. And there is just one last change to my game plan. Because the prep is reduced by 2.5 minutes, I need to make sure that my pathing in the prep phase is as good as possible. This mostly means hunting down the demi-bosses as efficiently as possible. So, on my first trip to find resources, I'll run in a little circle around the starting area and check as many boss rooms as possible, hopefully finding the bosses I want. But if I don't find them, then I know I need to go directly to the other boss rooms on my second trip to find them as quick as possible. And hopefully, this will be enough optimization to always get my prep done within the time limit. And for my second attempt, I headed into the Hunless room with an almost perfect inventory. I could have maybe done with a few more fish, and I'm still tweaking the amount of potions that I need, but I'm off to a good start, and I easily made it into the last phase of the Hunliff. I did make a few mistakes, and I'm probably still missing quite a lot of attacks, so my first attempt ended up quite far from the kill. But hey, 217 is a lot better than my first attempt, so hopefully all I need is a little more practice. The next attempt didn't go so well. I misclicked a prayer, ran under the boss and got stomped, and I got quite lucky that I didn't die there. But the stomp delays the next attack, and I messed up the timing for switching prayers. Even if I had survived the second attack, resources are too tight to make mistakes like this. Attempt number 3. And I'm getting really close. Hunliff only had 19 hit points left when I died. With better play, this could have been a kill. I'm sure I missed a few attacks, and I messed up 5-1 twice on this attempt, losing me quite a lot of damage, giving me full confidence that this is possible. I just can't afford any mistakes. And again, I'm getting really close on these attempts, but this time I got specced out by the tornadoes. I think this would have been a kill if I just had a little bit better movement. I think this death was a lesson in not moving when you don't need to, but it's also the only time I've ever died like this, so maybe I was just very unlucky. The prep has been super consistent for all of these attempts, which surprised me as I thought it would be challenging with my current stats, but it turns out only the aggressive stats are increased in the corrupted gauntlet, all defense levels are the same, and only the Hunliff has more hit points. And in most guides, people take 2 or maybe 3 potions, but I'm making 4, and it does seem like I actually need them. but sometimes it can be pretty difficult to find 4 herbs during the prep phase. But it's way better than training my prayer. And it's also not a great sign that the Hunlif's already protecting from mage, as I'm going to have to start with 6 off-style attacks. Sometimes I'll reset a run if it starts on mage, but for this one I didn't check it before I did the prep, and I'm not restarting now. This attempt has gone really well. I'm into the last phase with more than half my fish left and over a third of my prayer. I'm starting to get much more comfortable here. It's not perfect, but I haven't made any huge mistakes and I'm starting to get back into the swing of things. If I can just stay focused, then this could be the first kill. That is the first CG kill on the account. Completely ridiculous. I can't believe I did that. My god. Just don't stay up till like 5:30 AM when you're ill. Just don't do this, but... I may have not been in the best state when I got this kill, but it was such a relief to get it done, and it wasn't even that close. 5 fish left, most of my prayer bar, and it's only going to get easier from here. There's a lot to unpack after getting the first kill. I'm instantly rewarded with the Gauntlet cape collection log. I don't think this is anyone's favourite cape. It looks kind of goofy, it offers no stats, and you lose it when you die, but I'm still thrilled to have it, and to tick another task off the list. I also got a combat achievement, but it's just a copy of one I got from the regular Gauntlet. And now for the most important stuff, the stats. 10 deaths, 1 kill. Not what I'd call great, but I've seen people take much longer to get their first kill, and I didn't even know if it was going to be possible at these levels. And my final combat level is 63. Most of the increase came from the 25 defense levels and the 5 mage levels, and the rest of my stats are basically what I had when I arrived in Prif. I'm always going to wonder if I could have got this at a lower combat level, but it doesn't really matter. And the time for the kill? 13 minutes. Unbelievably slow. Potentially the slowest gauntlet of all time, but probably not. The Grandmaster speed for Corrupted Gauntlet is literally half this time. I'm not sure if that's even possible with just the basic prayers, but it should get a lot faster as I level up. At least the Gauntlet has a high XP multiplier, so my stats should get boosted up pretty quickly and improve the times. And lastly, the loot. Let's see if I can get super spooned. 1 KC weapon seed? Sort of a spoon. I do need a few of these, and I'm never going to be upset to get them, as I need 1 to make my Abyss shield, the crystal shield, and 1 for the crystal bow, which isn't a Abyss item, but will be great for training up my ranged. And any extras that I get can be turned into acorns for decent farming XP and some crystal shards. But as I currently don't have the level to do any of these things, it's just going to sit in the bank. Now I have a single kill done, it's time to talk about what I need to get from the Gauntlet, as I'm locked here until I do everything possible. I need to complete the Gauntlet collection log. I got 2 out of 5 from the first kill, but I need so much more. I need 6 armor seeds for a full set of crystal armor for my Abyss range setup. With a drop rate of 1 in 50, I should be done with these within 300 kills. I also need 2 enhanced crystal weapon seeds for my Abyss melee weapon, the Blade of Saildor, and my Abyss bow, the Bow of Prifddinas. And at a drop rate of 1 in 400, I'm hoping to get these in around 800 kills. Hunting the enhanced crystal weapon seeds is the reason this place is called the Red Prison, as just getting 1 of these can take a very long time. I need 2, so if there's ever a place to get spooned, it's here. And lastly, and probably worst of all, I need the pet at a rate of 1 in 800, so I'm settling in for a very long grind, as my chance of getting both the weapon seeds and the pet before 800 kills is only 37%. On the plus side, the standard loot from the Gauntlet is very good, although it's mostly in the form of alcoballs, so the rewards will get much less exciting once I have enough cash to fund 99 construction. I don't know how your brain works, but I know that I will be incapable of happiness until I get that kill-death ratio into the positive, so it's time to get back in there and get some more kills. And I managed to get the second kill after only 1 more death. And then back to back for the third. This one came with 2 combat achievements, but they're just the same as the ones from the regular Gauntlet. It's really good to know that that kill wasn't just a fluke. I managed to pick up the Gauntlet Veteran Combat Achievement for 5 kill count, and then the Gauntlet Master Combat Achievement for 10, and a second weapon seed at 21 KC. And my times are starting to improve. My PB is now 11 minutes and 22 seconds. Still very slow, but at least this means I can get 5 done in an hour. And the weapon seed situation is starting to get a bit ridiculous. That's 3 in 27 kills. I've managed to get up to 30 kills with 35 deaths, so roughly 1 kill for every death. I still need to get way more consistent if I'm going to get 800 kills, but much better than the 1 to 10 ratio that I started at. These deaths where you also get the kill are the most frustrating, as not only do you not get the kill, but you also waste the maximum amount of time. 33 kills for my first real drop, a crystal armor seed. I can't craft or wear any of the armor with my current stats, but it's nice to be 1 out of 6 and have another item for the collection log. Also, they were 10 million when I got this drop. I think they're closer to 5 now. And I'm finally here at the turning point. 36 kills, 37 deaths. Not only does this mean that in my last 6 kills I've only had 2 deaths, which is much closer to an acceptable ratio, but I only need 1 more kill to be even with the Hunlif. And not only can I get that, I can get the back-to-back to pull me ahead to 38 kills, 37 deaths. Not something that most people would be proud of, but a big moment for me, as I no longer need to worry about if I can kill the Gauntlet, but rather how quickly. But it's not just been CG all of the time. I don't have the focus to do the Gauntlet all day, so alongside AFKing at U's, I've been back at the Moss Giants training ranged with the thousands of arrows the Gauntlet spits out, and getting a few strength levels at chickens. I also messed around with using ranged at the chickens and telegrabbing the feathers, as I'm currently more worried about fletching XP than I am about GP. It was a bit of fun, but it's bad XP, expensive, and very click intensive. So maybe one of the worst methods I've ever tested. But I did get 45 prayer from chickens, and I can now use Mystic Might. I'm just hoping that boosting these levels up just a little bit will make the Gauntlet runs smoother. And here is the last kill count combat achievement, and I sure don't feel like a corrupted Gauntlet Grandmaster. This is probably the last combat achievement that I'm going to get for a while, and it's the last of the easy ones. I will try and get the rest of them, but I'll wait until my stats are a bit higher, maybe even wait until I've got the green log. And then in no time at all, by that I mean 2 months because leagues happened, I've grinded up to 100 kill count. 1 armor seed and 4 weapon seeds. Nothing to be particularly unhappy about yet. I'm not worried about the number of armor seeds I get. If I get to the point where all I need is armor seeds, I'll be very happy. What's next in my CG journey? Well, there are 2 options. Option 1 is to learn to do tier 1 armor for a much faster prep time, and option 2 is to move away from 5-1 for less counting and to get some more ranged XP while I'm here. For now, I want to see if I can get any kills using tier 1 armor, and it is not going well. Maybe it's because I'm taking too much damage and constantly eating, or I'm just getting in my own head, but these attempts were terrible. I'm making so many stupid mistakes, and they are not even close at all. So I think it's better to go back to tier 2 until I get some more practice and some more defense levels. For my next experiment, I'm ditching the 5-1 and trying the normal Gauntlet strategy with just the staff and bow. And kills with this setup actually seem fine. I'm getting some more ranged XP instead of magic, which is great as I need quite a few more range levels. The only issue is the prep can sometimes go wrong, but I can usually default back to 5-1 if I don't find all the bosses I need. And for the first time in around 100 kills, I have a new PB, saving over 30 seconds on my last attempt, although all that time was gained during the prep phase, so this was more about getting lucky with the room layout than getting better at the boss. And because I don't know when to quit, I've still been trying to get kills with tier 1 armor, and I have finally managed it. Only 2 fish left and no prayer potions. I still think I take too much damage to do kills consistently, but it's really good to know that I can do it. And at some point I'll get enough defense levels to make it viable. Now, there's one thing that I've really noticed while doing this, and it's often the main difference between an easy kill and a failed run, and that is the boss position. It doesn't matter until the very last phase of the hunt lift because of the patterns on the floor, but if the hunt lift is in the middle of the room, then you really restrict your movement and it's very easy to get trapped. But if the boss is in the corner or just to one side, then there is always space to move around easily and avoid the tornadoes. I think this is maybe overlooked in how important it is, but almost all of my deaths happen when the boss is in the middle. Anyway, I have finally picked up my second armor seed at 125 KC. It's great to actually get some progress on the drops that I need. The last thing I needed to learn was not something I was expecting, but I decided to try and swap from stretch mode to fixed mode. And this took a bit of learning. I mostly mention this because going forwards there'll be some clips in stretch mode and some in fixed, until I use all the footage I have recorded. If you're wondering why I'm switching now, it's because of my continued frustration at clips being ruined by the key element being hidden behind the UI. This run was a bit of a milestone for me, as I had a bad prep and only ended up with 15 fish. And it'll be interesting to see if I can make this and maybe start relaxing my prep a little bit. And it turns out I can. It wasn't too bad, and I still had some fish left, but I don't think it's worth taking less fish on purpose. It doesn't usually take too long to find enough fish, and sometimes I get unlucky and take a lot of damage. And you know, I also need the cooking XP. On kill 147, I pick up my third armor seed, almost exactly on drop rate, and halfway to the full armor set. And for the back-to-back, I picked up my first enhanced crystal weapon seed. Unbelievably lucky, one of 3 of the big items that I need for the Gauntlet. Getting this early is such a weight off my shoulders, and I'm now 4 out of 5 on the Gauntlet collection log. Although, even if I get the pet now, who knows how long it's going to take for the second enhanced weapon seed. And obviously the clan chat is going wild. This brings me up to a 44% chance of being done by 800 KC, which is, to be honest, still pretty low. But I am way ahead of schedule. And like all of the other crystal seeds, it's gonna sit in the bank because I can't craft it and I can't wear it. But one day I'll be able to, and that's all that matters. Now I have served the first of my prison sentences. I'm gonna start working on some other goals for the next episode and probably spend a lot of time in the other red prison inside of Prifddinas. So thank you all for watching. And if you want to see how I got to Prif at such a low level, or what I've been doing since I got here, check these out. And special thanks to my members, Soria Melody, Tiki Dog SP, Onobo, Brian Quarter, Teeters, Ivo the 2ST, Mysil, Kai, and Rageboy4. And finally, thank you to JSG for making me the awesome banner and profile picture.